Okay, good evening. I call this meeting of the Pearland Independent School District Board of Trustees to order on April 10th, 2018 at 5:03 PM. Let the record show that there is a quorum of board members, that this meeting has been duly called, and that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. Let the record show that trustees Beegler, Murphy, Gooden, Decker, Floyd, I know Barry's here somewhere, and Botkin are all present. We are going to move right into public comment. We had more than 6 people sign up, so the first 6 who came in will be speaking. This is the portion of the board meeting where the board receives input from the patrons. Each person who addresses the board will have 5 minutes to speak on his or her issue. Because of topic posting requirements of the Open Meetings Act, board members will not ask questions of the patron and will not answer any questions posed to the board by the patron. No action can be taken on any issue presented during the patron comment segment of the board meeting. Patrons addressing the board will be notified when they are approaching the last 30 seconds of their allotted time to speak. Okay, so Mrs. Gomez, Miss Jessica Gomez? Gomez, Gomez.
Good evening. My name is Jessica Gomez, and I'm here on behalf of my son, who's in 1st grade, and my daughter, who's entering kindergarten. Currently, my son is enrolled in the dual language program at Lawn Elementary School. First of all, it's an amazing program, and I thank you for offering the dual language program. They have benefited very much. And then we'll have another one, God willing, the end of the summer here, that will hopefully then follow in their footsteps in the dual language program. So I'm here today because I understand that many in my neighborhood of Sunrise Lakes would like to rezone. I understand their plight and I support them, but I also ask that the families that are currently there and in the dual language program, that we could continue even if we were rezoned. I know that currently you must be in the area in order to be able to be in the program, and that's why we moved specifically to this neighborhood that worked with our family, and that's why we chose that. And so I ask that if we are rezoned, that you take in consideration that the families that are there on purpose and would like to stay in that school district, that we would then be able to stay in the dual language program. I understand that we'll be in charge of getting them there and back and all that stuff because buses may not come, but I just wanted you to know that there are some of us that would like to stay. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Josephine, is it Titsworth? Okay.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
It's nice to be here. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I am.
Gorgeous.
I am Josephine Titsworth. I'm a licensed master social worker in Texas and executive director for the Texas Transgender Non-Discrimination Summit, which is a 501c3 nonprofit charity. Our organization works hard to help schools develop positive policies to protect transgender faculty, staff, and students. We are a fully volunteer organization. Restroom issues seem to be the focus of discussion on many levels. The Office of Safety and Health Administration, also known as OSHA, has clearly stated that transgenders must be provided appropriate and reasonable restroom facilities. Also, the Texas Association of School Boards, TASB, has provided suggested language for policies to be adopted by school districts. Considering the case of a young child within your school district, it's come to our attention the child has been marginalized and restricted from having access to appropriate and reasonable restroom facilities. The child has had embarrassing accidents due to not having access to restroom facilities. The degrading and devaluing of humanity for this child has serious consequences, such as depression, anxiety, and suicide. It borders on child abuse and bullying. Both actions of abuse and bullying are against the law in Texas. I'm not saying that's what it is. I'm saying it's bordering. We appeal to your decency and common sense to correct the humiliation this child is experiencing within the Pearland Independent School District. School is where the child must be receiving a quality education to prepare the child for adulthood. Uplifting the child promotes self-confidence and citizenship. The Texas Transgender Non-Discrimination Summit, acronym TTNS, that's so much easier, wants to offer our expertise to assist in the development of positive policies within the school district. We have proven processes to assist administrations to adopt a fully inclusive non-discrimination policy to include transgender faculty, staff, and students. We believe the life of a person is of extreme importance, and there are processes that will meet the needs of all people within a school. The discourse for social justice is important for the Pearland Independent School District and all its students, faculty, and staff. Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King taught us that an injustice to one is an injustice to all. TTNS encourages you to work with us to create an environment to enhance the educational processes within Pearland Independent School District. Thank you for your time and the ability to allow us to express our concerns. Each of you has received a packet from TTNS in order to assist in starting the change in policies. We hope you will feel free to contact us to assist Pearland Independent School District to develop policies to create an inclusive environment. And on a postscript, the acronym for postscript is PS. I am a Vietnam-era veteran. That's what I wanted to say. And so I want to thank you for your time, your energy, and for allowing me to speak. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we have Ms. Vachette, is that right? Vachette?
Dear members of the board, as the mother of two sons currently enrolled in the Pearland Independent School District, I'm here today to formally request that mandatory procedures be set in place in all schools within the district when harassment, discrimination, bullying, as well as discriminatory nicknames are reported by a child to the school staff, regardless if the child refuses to write a statement in order to not be considered a snitch. My son reported the unwanted nickname of Columbine at the beginning of the school year to the assistant principal of Barry Miller Junior High. He was quickly dismissed without any further investigation with the quote, "Just ignore them." On January the 30th, my son was coerced by those bullies into making a Snapchat post which resulted in his arrest and detention at the Brazoria County Juvenile Detention Center. Upon his release, I asked him why he did not notify anyone within the school staff of the nickname. His response was, "I did. I was told to ignore them. I thought I could deal with it on my own." Tristan made this statement in front of me, his father, his grandmother, as well as sworn officer of the law, his current probation officer. To my disbelief, Tristan also confided that he was not the only one being called the unwanted nickname of Columbine, which is the nickname used by the Barry Miller within the Barry Miller Junior High School premises for Caucasians by a group of 40 to 50 bullies. African Americans are nicknamed thieves, and Muslims are nicknamed raghead, clock boy. On March 29th, my son was picked up again by the Brazoria County juvenile officer for an incident with Mrs. Fillingames, who was apparently offended by the sentence, "May God be with you," which resulted in in-school suspension and therefore triggered violation of probation. As a person of Catholic faith, it's not uncommon for the priest to use the term May God be with you at the conclusion of the Mass, meaning may God's blessings be upon you. It is not uncommon as well for Joel Osteen to conclude his service with the same sentence. As much as his father and I agreed that he deserved to pay the consequences for his action with the first incident, we both believe that the second incident was not warranted. After all, the school offers a variety of clubs, such as math club, chess club, Bible club, and LGBTQ club, which my son has participated in all of them. My son is now portrayed and viewed as an inmate by not only his peers, but as well as the school staff and teachers. He is currently under a large amount of pressure since anything he says or does is analyzed under a microscope. I'm here today appalled and quite frankly angered, knowing that other children of all races and religion are most likely suffering in silence and might be considering a final solution to the harassment, discrimination, and bullying being endured on the Barry Miller Junior High premises, such as committing suicide or considering to retaliate in a similar manner as the Parkland High School shooter. One of the students committed suicide on Barry Miller Junior High School campus at the beginning of the year, and another student attempted suicide at my oldest son's high school, Glenda Dawson, as well. I believe that the staff at the Barry Miller Junior High School have failed to protect my son, not only my son, but is also currently failing to protect our students. The lack of proper documented investigation, documented finding, as well as documented disciplinary action is most likely causing students to go through the system and possibly become delinquents. As the general manager of a Hilton property, should one of my employees or guests report such racist nicknames, discrimination, harassment, it is my responsibility to proceed with the following: filling out an incident report, requesting witness statements if available, notification to the Human Resources Department at the corporate office, proceed with a thorough
20
documented
seconds.
investigation, and provide documented disciplinary actions. Those procedures are not only in place to ensure that harassment, discrimination stops, they're also in place to protect ownership from a civil lawsuits. I'm out of time, but thank you for your time.
Thank you. Ms. Sammy Peterson. Peterson.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak with you this afternoon. My name is Sammy Peterson, and I am here to speak on behalf of the Silvercrest Elementary PTA, an organization of 417 members. I recently spoke with Dr. Agate from Park County School District in Wyoming and former school psychologist for Granite County and Utah school districts regarding the prolific issue that he has seen dealing with children in schools. ADD and ADHD are widely diagnosed, and teachers come to him constantly with a child that they can't control anymore. The child just won't sit still during the class time, even after giving him the allotted 15 minutes of recess. The teacher brings the child to Dr. Agate expecting a miracle to occur, and what he does is a miracle. He takes the child outside, and they run. They run races from the fence and back. After racing, about 10 minutes, he then takes them right back to the classroom where the child can then sit and focus. The teacher's always amazed at the difference of the child. The fact is, children need free play exercise to learn. I am here today to share with you why our children need at least one guaranteed 30-minute recess for the 2018-2019 school year instead of the 15 minutes they currently receive, with the opportunity to look into the recommended 60 minutes per day as given by the CDC. New brain research is drawing clear links between physical activity and learning. Interestingly, no research supports the notion that test scores go up by keeping children in the classroom longer, but there is plenty of evidence that recess benefits children in cognitive, social, emotional, and physical ways. Research shows that when children have recess, they gain the following benefits: are less fidgety and more on task, have improved memory and more focused attention, develop more brain connections, learn negotiation skills, exercise leadership, teach games, take turns, and learn to resolve conflicts. They are more physically active before and after school. Recess has benefits over gym class. With recess, children have choices and can organize their own games, figure out what's fair, and learn a lot of social behavior that they don't learn in PE. It's critical that children have a time to play on their own, free from adult parameters, says Richard Cohen, an early childhood professional. To the outsider, recess may seem like a waste of time when you could be spending time drilling test questions. It's true in the short term, says Cohen, but long term, what they are losing is the opportunity to develop their imagination and critical thinking skills. Children need to have downtime between complex cognitive challenges, says Dr. Robert Murray, a pediatrician and professor of human nutrition at The Ohio State University. They tend to be less able to process information the longer they are held to a task. It's not enough to just switch from math to English. You actually have to take a break. It's also important to distinguish recess from physical education. While gym class offers kids a chance to stretch their legs and get their heart rate up, it is still considered instructional time, with very different goals from those of the unstructured downtime of recess. Likewise, it's important to let kids play what they want. When it's structured, it's not a break in the day. Given the value of recess in a student's physical and social development and the need for periodic breaks from classroom instruction, withholding recess is prohibited in 44% of school districts across the nation. Ours is not one of those. On numerous occasions, children in our school have lost minutes of recess due to a classmate's choices or punitive transgressions. Educators and administrators alike are examining the use of recess as punishment. With the recent findings on the academic benefits of recess and physical activity, withholding recess is unacceptable. There are currently 3 school districts in our great state that have implemented 4 15-minute recesses per day with the hopes of getting an edge up on other school districts. Irving, Arlington, and Little Elm ISD are having tremendous results with these changes. We encourage our district to be on the forefront of this effort to promote the wellness of the whole child by extending recess to 30 minutes a day for the 2018-2019 academic year. We ask that the school board also look into implementing a total of 60 minutes per school day of recess for subsequent school years. We ask the PISD Board of Trustees to review recess as a valuable component of our children's academic development, just as we, the Silvercrest PTA, view it. Thank you for your time. And I also have copies of my speech. If you guys would like a copy, can I?
Yeah, bring them up. Thank you. Jerry Ann Young.
My name is Jerry Ann Young, and I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. And I must apologize. I'm recovering from surgery, and my speech is impaired, but I'll do my best. And I really want to express my appreciation to what you do and your willingness to serve the community like you do. I know it's a thankless job, but I encourage you to hang in there, and I greatly appreciate what you do. I feel like I'm here tonight to address the issue of transgender students, and I understand that the issues in recent weeks with a transgender student resulted in that student leaving the school district. But anecdotal evidence would indicate that you still have 200 to 300 transgender students in a district this size. And I feel like I'm uniquely qualified to speak to this subject because I'm a 34-year veteran educator, public school educator. I've taught 4th grade, 5th grade, all subjects, 7th and 8th grade math, and I've been an administrator for 25 years before I retired at both the middle and high school level and I am transgendered. When I first started teaching, I was amazed to find out that knowledge doubled every 7 years. Then a few years later, I found out that knowledge doubled every year and a half. 5 years ago, knowledge started doubling every 12 to 13 months, and today it can only be speculated, no way to measure it, but it's speculated that knowledge is doubling at the rate of every day. And certainly no one can acquire all that knowledge, but there's a lot of things I wish I had learned. I wish I had known that medical research was being conducted that would lead to the American Medical Association accepting being transgendered a medical condition. I wish that I had known that I can't help it. I was born that way and can't change. The American Medical Association has taken position to champion the urgent need for care of transgendered individuals. I have here a resolution from the American Medical Association House of Delegates that calls for providing medical resources for transgendered people. Here's a AMA policy that speaks to using restrooms. It says the AMA opposes policies preventing transgendered individuals from accessing basic human services in public facilities in line with one's gender identity, including but not limited to the use of restrooms. I also have here a publication from the Texas Association of School Boards. It's 11 pages, and the whole 11 pages is dealing with legal issues related to transgender students. And I'm not going to go into detail. You have access to this. This is your organization. So, 200 to 300 transgender students in your school district. What is the answer? I don't know. I guess that's why they pay you all the big bucks to figure that stuff out. But I do know that it's time to get smart. The world is getting smart at a frightening rate, and it's time for educators to get smart at all levels. Let me conclude with this. I'm about out of time. I don't know if you're familiar with the Flippin Group. The Flippin Group is the largest and most successful corporation that deals with the training of educators. The corporate office is in College Station, Texas. Their core principle is that if you capture a kid's heart, you'll have his head. The CEO is Flip Flippin from Orange, Texas, and he didn't originate that idea. Almost 100 years ago, Theodore Roosevelt said, they don't care what you know until they know how much you care. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, Ms. Duncan?
Hi, I'm Stephanie Duncan. I'm here to speak about the rezoning of Sunrise Lake neighborhood. To all trustees, thank you very much for putting this on the agenda tonight. This is a much anticipated topic of discussion that is long overdue. So you have heard me here speaking to you for the past 11 months and for the same thing. However, tonight I'd like to introduce you to someone else. So this is Tuppy Dog. Yes, it's Tuppy Dog. It's my son named him. So I'm going to set him here so everybody can see. To the layman's eye, Tuppy Dog is an old, dirty-looking, wonky, kind of smelly animal, right? He's been to soccer games, taekwondo belt tests, baseball games, dressed in bows, participated in home spa days, served as a partner in three-legged race, cheered and participated in field days, hold my son's hand during church, a snuggler, a shoulder to cry on, a confidant, an encourager, and the list goes on. He also happens to be my son's best friend. Before we get too far, though, I'd like to mention that there's a discrepancy in the board agenda item. The agenda item mentions that there's 20-plus minutes of current drive time from our subdivision to our current zone path, but that's only one way. It's actually 40 minutes round trip. Just wanted to make sure we had that in there. Also, the Sunrise Lake neighborhood is not split into two high school feeder patterns. It's the elementary, the middle school, and the junior high that's split into two feeder patterns for our neighborhood. But if PISD were to move the Sunrise Lake children to the Challenger Elementary, Rogers Middle School, and Berry Middle Junior High feeder pattern, all of the Sunrise Lake children can fit within the school capacity at that elementary and middle school level. That's about 35 kids per grade. According to Mr. Tillis's adjusted projections, the rub comes into play at the junior high level. It's also worth noting that the Templeton's numbers of students per grade that you'll see here in a little bit does not account for the outflux of children from the feeder pattern to the GT Academy, thereby leaving more kind of room, if you will, at Rogers and Berry Miller. It does also not account for the 20%, approximate to 20% student transfers that get out of our current feeder pattern. We are looking to reunite our neighborhood, and a simple solution is to reappropriate the sets of the portables located at Silver Lake and Silvercrest Elementaries. They're already a sunk cost to PSD, and we'd like to move them to Berry Miller Junior High. If for some reason PISD feels that they have not been properly maintained in those particular portables over the past several years, and that moving them would cause damage, then there's always the option of purchasing new portables. In looking at last month's 2016 bond budget and projections ledger, it appears that PISD is $15 million under budget, and this is after approving the $3 million additional improvements to the out-of-scope rig football stadium. But please correct me if I have those numbers incorrect or if I'm looking at it wrong. If new portables must be purchased to use at the Berry Miller Junior High to accommodate the Sunrise Lake children, then the $15 million underrun provides the flexibility to solve this problem. The portables could be bought for use at Berry Miller and after about 5 years could be reappropriated to Dawson High School to help alleviate their growing attendance there. For the PISD official that wondered why on earth PISD should spend extra money on portables to help such small population of PISD, well, the answer is because it's the right thing to do. We're school tax-paying and voting citizens too, just as the residents of the east side of Pearland, and our children deserve to have the opportunities, quite literally, the children across the street do. Elections are on the horizon, and many folks are watching this very particular topic. The agenda item mentioned that other neighborhoods could make the same or similar requests for zoning changes. I would say that if they have a decade's worth of data, the board should listen to them too. If PISD is worried about approving the zoning changes for the Sunrise Lake neighborhood and that it will set precedent, don't be alarmed, because it absolutely will. It will set the precedent that there is a new type of school board and that they are willing to listen and communicate to the families and do the right thing for not only the PISD families, but for the children as well that this affects. Please make no mistake about it, not approving this requested zoning change will continue to affect our children socially, mentally, and emotionally. As it stands now, our children forge relationship with the kids on the east side of town during their most formidable years, only to be ripped away when high school comes. Evidence and testimonies have been already provided to the board that this rip is detrimental to our children. Part of being able to instill the confidence in our children as a child grows, and they have to come and they have to get that confidence and sense of belonging to themselves. Denying the zoning change will continue to take pieces of that confidence and being away and belonging away as our children move from 8th grade to schools on the east side of town and onto the west side of town to realize, sorry, I apologize. Denying the zoning change will continue to take pieces of
30
that
seconds.
confidence and belonging away as our children move from 8th grade schools on the east side of town to high school on the west side of town and realize that their modern day tuppy dogs won't be going on the next great adventure with them. Their tuppy dogs won't be in on the same team cheering them on. They won't be in their corner as they make the winning goal. They won't be in class with them when something they worked so hard for goes south. They won't be there after school when all you need is someone to talk to. Their encourager, their confidant, and their best friend will be ripped away with the move, and the funny thing is that the child does not even move houses.
Time's up. Thank you, Ms. Duncan.
Okay, thank you very much.
So we are changing the order, and we're going to go right into the report, the administrative report on Sunrise Lakes.
And you have, as you know here, Mr. Tillis, who's done our research, and he will report to you from the PowerPoint in your packet and any other information he's gathered. Take it from there, Don.
Just a second to get it loaded up, please. Good evening, Board. As you know, Sunrise Lakes has requested that their subdivision be rezoned. And presently, they're at Lawhon, Salvatore, Junior High West, Dawson, and they're requesting that they go to Challenger, Rogers Middle School, Miller Junior High, Dawson High School. And stop me along the way if you have questions. It will help. So first, I want to give you an overview of the school feeder patterns and the school attendance zones. Right now, our school feeder patterns, we have 11 elementaries that feed 4 middle schools, that feed 4 junior highs, that basically feed Dawson High School and Pearland High School. And there is some splitting going to Dawson High School, but I'll talk more about that later. 2 of the junior highs do split going to Dawson High School and Pearland High School, primarily because Pearland High School is much larger, Dawson High School is smaller, so there is splitting required.
We also have the GT Academy. Right.
Turner,
No, GT Academy.
at Salvatore and,
Right.
and Junior High West, right? So our elementaries fairly spread out throughout the district, 11 of them. I like to say a very good spread across the district. However, that's not the case for our middle schools and junior highs. This line right down the middle, 50% of our students are on the west side, 50% are on the east side. And so we only have 1 junior high, 1 middle school feeding the west side, and then 6 on the east side. So 50% of the students are on this side with only 25% of the schools there. And then these 2 schools are very close to the center line. So what you're going to see is a lot of students are having to travel from west to east to go to their schools. So this is Rogers Middle School. This is the attendance zone for Rogers Middle School. We have Jameson located here. This is the attendance area for Jameson. Salvatore located here. This is the attendance zone for Salvatore. Alexander here. This is the attendance zone. So what you see is a lot of students having to go from west to east, Salvatore west to east, and then for Jameson, they're having to go from south and west to get to Jameson. Alexander, they're going from east to west. So there are a lot of neighborhoods that are traveling because of the locations of our middle schools and junior highs. And so just a quick review here. For Rogers, you can see there's several neighborhoods that have to travel quite a ways to get to that school. Jameson, which is located here, many neighborhoods have to travel quite a distance. Salvatore, Sunrise Lakes, which is located here, but also this area has to travel a great distance to get to Salvatore. And then for Alexander, we've got some areas that have to travel from east to west to get to that school. It's a similar situation with our junior highs. Miller Junior High located here. This is the attendance zone. Junior High West located here. This is the attendance area. South is located here. And then east is located here. And likewise, you can see that all these areas have to travel quite a distance to get here. Going to south, there's some areas that have to travel quite a distance from west to east. Again, Sunrise Lakes in this area traveling quite a distance to get to west. And then we've got some areas here that travel quite a distance to get to east. Are there any questions so far? Now the high schools, it's a little better scenario. We've got Dawson High School, Pearland High School, so it's a good split for the district. So again, this is the request where they're presently, where they'd like to go. again, and I'm going to dial into Sunrise Lake, show you, but they are essentially located right here in this area. This is the Sunrise Lakes, and I'm going to show a couple more shots of this, but this is the dividing line that splits Sunrise Lakes. So this is all Sunrise Lakes on the east side, Sunrise Lakes on the west side. The dividing line is across the road, across this pond, and a drainage ditch here. There's a natural line there that splits their neighborhood.
Back one slide again.
Excuse me?
Can you go back one
Do I
slide?
have to
Okay.
go back one?
Yeah, I'm sorry, go back, just, okay, thank you. Let's get, no, no,
Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah, you're right, I just want to get a visual. Thank you.
You said that's a natural line?
Um,
Is there any other neighborhood in the entire district that is cut in half like this?
Not a subdivision, but of course, because there are a lot of lines, boundary lines, you know, there are houses on one side of a street, houses on the other, throughout the district that occurs. So there's a road here and a drainage ditch here. That is the line for.
But you're talking, when you say roads, you mean major roads, like 518?
Not always. There's some, you know, because there's 13 attendance zones for elementary, so it may be down like just a road through a neighborhood.
Really? So there's more than one neighborhood in the district cut in half?
Not a
Not
subdivision.
as extreme as this,
Right.
but,
Yes.
okay.
And so again, I'm just highlighting, this is the area that is in question. And again, this is the rest of Sunrise Lakes on the west side. Okay, so looking at the impact if we were to move Sunrise Lakes or to rezone them to these schools. And I'm using the data from the demographic study that was just completed in the fall of 2017. And there's a lot of data here, so I'm going to just pass this, and I've created some charts that'll be better to understand. And so this is from the Templeton demographic study. This is the 10-year forecast for Challenger Elementary. What I have here is the capacity. This is the 92% when it's closed to transfers, and this is its current projection over 10 years. This is what Rogers Middle School looks like. Capacity 925. This is its 92%. This is the 10-year projection for Rogers Middle School. You can see that it does drop off in 22, 23, but it runs about 850. And Barry Miller, the 10-year projection, it has capacity of 900. It's going to run very close to its capacity through the year 24, 25. So now what I've done is taken the students from Sunrise Lakes and created the same charts. So I'll bypass all this data, go right to the slides. So if we were to move Sunrise Lakes to Challenger Elementary, you can see that they're going to run right at capacity across their 10 years. So it would be we may need a portable there to support that. If we look at Rogers Middle School, they are going to run right at capacity through the year 22, 23. So we'd most likely need a portable at Rogers. For Barry Miller Junior High, moving those students would actually put them about 60 over through the year 24, 25, and they would need several portables there to support those additional students. I also wanted to point out Junior High West. If we move Sunrise Lakes from west to Barry Miller, this school would be underutilized as much as about 250 students. I'm estimating that we'd probably need about 4 portables at a new cost, $60,000, $50,000 setup. It would be about $440,000. Other things that we looked at, there are neighborhoods that surround Rogers Middle School and Miller Junior High that have to go elsewhere. And then also I looked at, could we move an area out of Rogers Miller Junior High to accommodate Sunrise Lakes? So Rogers and Miller are located here, but again, their attendance zone is here. These are the students that are zoned. So there are neighborhoods adjacent that are not able to go to Rogers and Miller Junior High. And here's a close-up of that. You can see the schools here. These are all the housing that are adjacent and right behind it, but they are not able to go to that school. They go elsewhere. Also looked at, well, what if we took an area out, moved it out where we could move Sunrise Lakes in? This was the most likely choice, South Glen, Emerald Point. However, they are located right here. If they had to travel there, it may be even a worse situation, certainly as bad. So I wanted to provide this information also. If you're traveling by car, approximately 20 minutes one way. And of course, if there's a train along the tracks, it could be longer. The bus transportation for Sunrise Lakes to Salvatore is 31 minutes. Going to West is 28 minutes. Now, we have 84 routes that support our middle schools and junior highs. 55 of the 84 routes are greater than 31 minutes, and then 23 of our 84 routes are greater than 40 minutes. So from a bus transportation standpoint, they have it better off than most in the district. Just wanted to visit for a moment on the way the junior highs do split going to high school. This is the junior high west attendance zone. So these students here go to Dawson. These students here go to Pearland High School. But likewise, for South, these students here go to Dawson. These students here go to Pearland High School. So there are two junior highs that split when they leave junior high going to high school. Just a quick summary, it would require 4 portables of $440,000. It would create a student imbalance between West and Miller Junior High. And then, as I showed, there's some very close neighborhoods that are unable to go to Rogers Middle School or Junior High. And then there are many other neighborhoods throughout the district that have to travel to middle school and junior high just because of the location that our middle schools and junior highs are. The majority of them on the east side of the district, so there are a lot of students traveling west to east. So I don't see how we could rezone Sunrise Lakes.
Can you go back 4 or 5 slides until you are at the slide where you have junior high west, and you look at the discrepancy.
Oh, okay. You want to? Okay.
Well,
I
yeah.
know. Okay, it's right here.
No,
Oh,
junior high
right
west,
here.
right?
Yes.
So what you've and from your entire presentation, what is shown is that for the past 10 years, these lines were drawn 10 years ago, a decade ago, right?
That's
I don't know if you drew them
No,
before your time.
It had to be longer than 10 years ago now, right?
it was actually in 2007-08 school year that they went into effect.
It started 2007 school year.
How old is Barry Miller? When was Barry Miller open?
It's 10 years old. Sunday, it's 10 years old.
10 years old.
So basically, probably the lines were drawn when the new school was.
When the new school opened up.
Thank you.
Right.
11 years ago.
11 years ago. So from your presentation, the only thing I could take away from it, honestly, was that we need to redraw the entire district because there are so many neighborhoods cut in half, like you said. There are so many irrational drawings of lines across the district. We have neighborhoods being cut in half, students making 40-minute commutes to school in the morning, being blocked by trains. God forbid there be a car wreck on 518, ever.
But
And I don't want to delegate that project because it would be a lot.
Well,
I want to ask a question about the portables, though, the $440,000 portables. There are no other portables being unused in the district right now?
we have a number of portables throughout the district, and they're all being used for various reasons. Matter of fact, the portables at Dawson High School the plan for those, that Mr. Berger put together a plan. We've got old portables throughout the district, 25, 30, 35 years old. We'd like to replace those when the portables.
So what's the life expectancy on those old portables?
Normally, it's on a brand new portable. It's 20, 25 years.
And so how old are these ones you're trying to replace?
They're 20, 30, 35 years. We've got some very old portables throughout the district.
And so when we look at the projections for Barry Miller, if the Sunrise Lake neighborhood was transferred to those schools, the overcapacity dilemma would only occur for how many years? Only about 3 or 4.
Well, it would occur all the way to,
2024.
24, 25 school year. Now,
23, 24.
the thing about enrollment projections, the further out you go,
Less
these
accurate it's gonna
these
be.
numbers are pretty accurate. The further out you go, it's kind of hard to predict 7, 8, 9, 10 years
Right,
out.
but the
So-
whole summary of the Templeton projection, if I can make one, was that Pearland has grown so much now, we're pretty much reaching capacity where there's not much left free land for neighborhoods to move in or condos to move in. I mean, we're at capacity pretty much. So no, Jeff?
Now, we've been saying that people have been talking about a build-out scenario for Pearland for 10 years, right? And it's just not happening.
So if the Templeton investment is wrong, then why do we go by that for every
I
other
don't
month?
think that. I think
projection?
that the capacity for huge neighborhoods has dwindled. But, I mean, you can see where they're clearing land all over town right now, and they're gonna put in, new neighborhoods with 100 homes or,
Yeah.
smaller, or that townhome possibility off of Cullen, situations like that. But it's not 350, 550
Right.
neighborhoods that are being
No
built.
drastic increase like we saw
No,
recently.
Right. I think in the future, we're going to be looking at 1.5%, which is still a couple hundred kids,
Which is
every
what the
year.
Templeton projected.
But if you go back to the actual capacity numbers, you can see that almost all of our facilities are up there. I think
Yeah.
Pearland High School is the one with the most capacity left.
I mean, this
It
is
was
really
around
the
85.
telling.
Until West frees up.
This is really
And then
the
there's no one
telling
there.
story of the entire picture is, we need a junior high and a middle school here located in this area. That's the only way to solve these problems because, they're just, neighborhoods are going to have to travel just because of the location of these schools.
But our demo projections don't call for it. I mean, we would
Right,
have
for total
so many
capacity,
schools.
school district wide, compared to the actual students in the school district, we're close to, we can fit the kids in the schools we have. Unfortunately, they have to travel to get to the schools. If you
With the
spend-
current line.
Right, with the current, with any lines.
With
Just take
any
the
lines,
whole-
really.
The whole district in general, with every single student, and the capacity in our 11 elementaries, our 4 middle schools, our 4 junior highs, and, the 2 main high schools that are zone campuses, we have enough room, but unfortunately, because of where the locations of the schools are, you can't just do the neighborhood around the school. It leaves all the kids, there's no schools past Rogers, and that's probably 40% of our people are on the other side of Rogers Middle School.
Yeah.
So they have to go to school to the east of wherever they live, west of Rogers.
Well, I've been saying this since I've been on the board, as someone that does business in the city, is that these demographic studies, unfortunately, if you look at McLean and Magnolia, right now, they've just cleared acreage to build another home. And right now, if you look at Magnolia Elementary, which is right across the street, they're almost or already at capacity. They're fixing to start a brand new subdivision. So when my problem with these studies have been when Templeton or come out with these demographic studies, they don't take into account for rezoning that goes on at City Hall.
Right.
And, again, it can be, when you look at the map that they draw, it can be zoned general business, it can be zoned something else, but it doesn't take a whole lot for some developer to go down and get the support to have it rezoned for a neighborhood. So, that's why I always have such a hard time with build out capacity on this. One of the questions I have is we talk about geographic areas. One of the questions that, comes up is how many students, are we talking that are actually affected? Do we have the number of students that are currently in that part of Sunrise Lakes, and how many would be close to exact numbers that would be going to Barry Miller?
It's approximately 400 students in that neighborhood, and it's roughly 35 students per grade. So it's 70 to the middle school, 70 to the junior high, and the elementary, it's roughly 100 for that neighborhood. It's a little bit more higher price housing, so I think generally you see more middle school, high school kids there.
Do we know how many of those 35 are at other schools, open campus, such as like we talked about the GT Academy, or have been enrolled somewhere else? Or are they all at West?
There are a couple that are enrolled elsewhere, but it's a very small number. The majority of them, 95% of them are at West.
So is that actual number 35,
Even
or
if
is
they
it
were
less?
at the GT Academy, they'd still be at West.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if they're at the GT Academy,
They would still be at West.
yeah.
I'm talking about the
West
junior
and
high
South.
level.
Right.
Yeah,
West.
that's west.
West.
And then
And
South,
the same thing
right.
for SAP.
Yeah.
So if they chose, if they're zoned there and they want to go to the academy, they would still be at their zone school.
Student at that campus.
Right.
Okay.
So it wouldn't matter if they chose the academy or not. They would still be zoned there. Right?
Okay. Yeah, I guess my question is, are any of these 35 at East or any other campus that's had open enrollment?
A very small number, but I've got to assume if they had the opportunity to go now to Rogers or Barry Miller, that they may take that opportunity. So I had to assume that those couple would probably go there also.
Okay. I just want to make sure we know, we're talking about the correct number of students that would be added to Barry Miller or affected.
Approximately 70.
Right. Per school, right.
Per school or per grade?
No, 35 per grade, 2 grades,
you're
so
right. So
70
70
for
per
the
school.
year.
per
Okay.
school, right.
So 70 for 7.
It'd be approximately 2 portables.
35 or 8.
Roughly.
I
35
think
for
one at,
fifth, 35 for sixth.
one at Rogers and 3 at Barry Miller, because once you get close to capacity, it's very difficult to hit capacity. Once we're close, we're thinking about a portable when we're at 95%, we're starting to plan that we may need a portable at a school, because it's just very difficult to get, that's kind of like a theory number.
Right.
If we had, say, 25 per class, you don't always have that many in every class. So when we're at about 95% of a school capacity, we're starting to think about portables on that school.
And so how did Dawson do, and this is not related to this, I'm not saying that we should go over capacity, but how did Dawson navigate being over capacity for so many years?
There was,
I went
some of
there.
that was before my time, but I think the
Yeah.
west side grew so fast
Right.
that it just
It was like
pushed-
35 in a classroom,
Right.
extra desks.
Yeah.
I had to sit in some of my classes
Right.
without a desk. I'm not saying that we should do that with folks from Sunrise Lakes going to Barry Miller, but I'm saying that we've done this before without regard to the equipment or the room required for students. 70 students is not a high number compared to the overcapacity that we've reached at Dawson High School in recent years.
But keep in mind, capacity, I don't know how to say this exactly, but capacity on a campus is, some of those rooms have been taken into other, like, say, a computer lab. So if the capacity of the campus was 900, and you've turned a couple rooms into other functioning things for that campus, is that campus
true-
still 900 of seats that they have, or is it whole capacity campus, or is it, we've turned 3 rooms into, a student resource room, or a special need education room, or a tutoring room, or a computer lab, or something like that. So now you're minus several classrooms on campus that don't have room. You can't put seats in
Yeah.
there and a teacher in there.
Well, my senior
just
year,
because capacity
My
is
senior year.
capacity doesn't mean we can really put that many people there either, because we don't have that many rooms for bottoms in the chairs.
Well, I had 2 classes that was in the cafeteria my senior year at Dawson. But let's get back on topic. The number of portables at Dawson that are there right now due to construction, right? Did we purchase all of them, or did we lease them, or?
we
Purchased them.
we actually purchased
purchased
those.
them.
The board
Purchased
approved
them.
that about
It was part of the
5 or
bond.
6 months ago.
Yeah. So we did purchase them. we'll have them after the construction ends, which will be approximately at Dawson 2019,
Not next school year, but the following school year.
following school year. Okay.
You said that Mr. Berger already has a plan as far as replacements,
To-
where
to-
those are
Yeah,
gonna go already?
To, you know,
Are
where
they
we
all
have.
spoken for, Mr. Berger?
The ones in Dawson, we bought new ones, those are spoken for at different campuses, like we have 3 in Magnolia, partly due to the overcrowding there that are older.
Yep.
Or need to be replaced and long separating and being moved. The problem with portable buildings is they're just that they're portable, and we move them every year or every other year.
It's the wear and tear.
Limits the longevity of that building.
Right.
And so are all of them in crisis?
Are all our portables in crisis? No, sir.
So how many of them do you think could last 4 more years?
Of all the portables we have.
Right. Well, the older ones that would be replaced.
We currently have the new buildings that we bought from Dawson tagged to be replaced with old portables. All the new ones are stolen.
And so they could not be removed.
What cannot be?
We could not allocate them to different schools.
They already are.
But we couldn't say, hey, instead of replacing this old one that's 15 years old, we'll put 2 at Miller for 3 years and then replace those older ones.
There is a possibility to look at the plan and repurpose some of them for a longer lifespan, yes.
Well, it's not a permanent plan, right? I mean, we didn't say this is it, set in stone.
No, nothing's permanent there.
Right. Okay.
I don't think, I think we're debating the availability of portable, I'm sorry, Lance, go ahead.
Can you go back to the first couple slides where I asked you to go back and forth? I like the rooftops, I like to see the rooftops.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
The feeder?
One previous?
I think that's the.
There's one here. Okay.
So,
So this is Sunrise Lakes, all the way across
okay,
here,
okay.
and then on the west side, and then this is what is on the east side, and then this is the boundary line that splits the.
So
So you said
70
there are 400 students in the entire Sunrise
And
Lakes,
that's-
correct?
Approximately in this area, and it's about a 60-40 split, 60% here, about 40% over here.
Of 400?
No, 400 here and probably, you know, I don't know, maybe 300 there or 275.
But the relevant number is 70 every 2 years, 70 at
Correct.
Miller.
Right.
So the point I was going to make is that let's be quite honest and let's just cut down to the chase, right? This is not about the availability of portables.
Nope.
If we wanted to, we could go buy portables tomorrow. $440,000 out of our reserve, and it wouldn't even be necessary to go to get bond funds to do that, right? So that's completely feasible, right? The point is, I personally speaking, don't want to put kids in portables. We have done a lot to take kids out of portables, right?
Yes, sir.
To me, the issue that I understand the numbers here that's going on. The issue is when we start talking about the student relationships, right? Because you do send kids east for middle and junior high, well, for elementary, middle, and junior high, right? And then they come back to Dawson. So they come back with their peer group out of that group, right? But they haven't been, I guess, they haven't been going to school at Rogers and Miller, where most of the kids that are coming into that are being, right? So have we thought about what that's all about, what that impact looks like on students?
Well, I think we had the Duncans came and so many families came and I mean, emotionally told us. That
Right.
the
Yeah.
pain they were going
And that's why I'm asking the question.
through.
And,
One
and I'm
correction,
asking the question.
they would
of-
go from middle, junior, and elementary, middle, and junior high at different schools, and then come back to Dawson.
Fair enough. But from the administration, had we thought about, what does
Well-
that actually look like as far as, impact on students?
Well, let me ask one more question that's kind of related to that too, and can answer it maybe in conjunction with the line that the neighborhood ends, and then the line which I don't know where it goes, that goes further east, that also goes to west and then goes to Dawson. What kind of numbers are we looking at in that area? And you may not know that off the top of your head, but you know, you've
So-
carved out one neighborhood
let me
that's
go
going to west. But
Okay.
there's a lot of students
Yes.
that are going to
I hear where you're coming
west.
from, Pam.
So when they leave junior high,
Right.
this is junior high west. This portion goes to Dawson.
Mm-hmm.
This portion goes to Pearland High School, and then likewise for junior high south, these kids go to Dawson. These kids will leave and go to Pearland High School, but there's really no way to avoid that because if the high schools were the same size, we'd be okay. but-
Sure, no, I understand that,
there's-
but what I'm saying is there's a lot of other children that are going to west in other neighborhoods, and I know a lot of that is a little more sparse because it's more like a, you know. But there's streets there too with houses. There's other people that live in that area. It's not just a
So are we
cemetery.
gonna fix it for the whole south area then too?
But the argument is then that they
can't.
would continue on the same route, the
But
same feeder
But I'm
pattern.
saying is they go from west to Dawson also. There's other kids.
There's other kids
There's
involved.
other students
And then
in
not
that
to
same
mention
section.
the same issue with Pearland Junior High South.
Right, which is what I was said earlier. That, I mean, what you've really presented to us is that we need to redraw the district.
That's not gonna happen.
But you can't, what
Well-
I'm
Can't
saying is
because
you
of our
can't
But it
redraw
location
can't
of our
happen just
schools.
because it's
because
hard.
you're
It's
still in the
difficult.
problem where you have that.
Because the schools where they are.
Clustered together.
They're clustered on the east side
On the east
for a
side.
reason,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Okay, and let's not even start to
Well,
get into the whole east-west
Yeah.
mythical, all
No,
that
it's
stuff,
not
right? Let's
mythical,
just
it's
have
fact,
a
it's
data.
true, it's
Let's just
real.
have a data-driven conversation.
Like, I mean,
No.
Okay, a data-driven conversation. Let's stay out of the
Guys,
conspiracy.
data-driven
theories.
conversation is to do 440, like you said earlier. It's not even a drop in the bucket to get portables at these schools to rezone the Sunrise Lakes community. That's data-driven. That's easy. That's done.
Except,
It's-
that's what I'm saying, there's other students that are already have the same, that have the same issue. There's students in that same zone that are gonna go to West and go back to Dawson. Or they go to the whole feeder pattern of Lawn, they go to junior high, Sablatura, then they go to West, and then they have to go to Dawson. So are we gonna look at rezoning them as well? And then what about all those subdivisions that back up to Barry Miller? I promise I've heard from a whole bunch of West Oaks people, and they back right up and their kids could walk across the street. They could build a gate
Right.
on their property and walk to school. You don't think I've heard from them?
Well, so there's an existing problem, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't solve one problem because we can't solve all of the problem. Let's solve as much as we can now and then fix what we can later. We can't just say, no, let's not do anything because we can't fix all of it.
I disagree with
understand
that.
philosophy, but
I disagree with
understand
that.
philosophy of trying to fix one neighborhood and wanting to help them. I do.
We
I
want
understand.
what's best for
But-
all of them.
But I have to look out for everybody
The
else
entire
too,
district.
the whole district as a whole. There's a lot of other students that they'd be great, but I mean the whole issue too is just look at the line of Barry Miller Junior High. Look at the students that go to it. Not one of them is even around the school. You know, just that little tab is close to it. The rest live further west. You know, so they're traveling to go to Rogers. Unfortunately, the people around Rogers don't even get to go to Rogers. They go to
Right.
Jameson.
Yeah, I think, these neighborhoods would say the same thing. Why not?
No,
put a
they have said
couple
the same thing.
portables there and let us
They
go
have
there.
said the same
Right.
thing. I've been contacted that way.
Can't.
Well, and just because they don't come to the school board meeting doesn't mean they don't talk to the school board.
Right.
So instead of solving one problem, let's solve none of them. Is
It's not-
what the
it's not
logic is,
one-
and that's
It's
the
not-
problem.
I think what the information shows, it's not just one problem. It's a holistic problem within the district. We
right.
get that.
Right.
But if we were to do that, then what do we do with these guys? Who do we displace here to get into these other schools? And I don't like any of it. I don't like the fact that
Either.
when we purchased land, those were the available tracks that we could purchase back then. I mean, I don't know how many years ago that was, but it was 20 years ago. I don't know how long. But unfortunately, we're having to deal with that right now. And it's a terrible situation. I agree.
Right.
I don't think anybody else disagrees with that, and I don't want to put words in your mouth. But the thing is, when we start it's the ripple effect. We have one situation with Sunrise Lakes that we can agree it's a terrible situation. But look at Rogers. I mean, do we open up again to start understanding where we're going to shuffle these guys around?
Well, they're not going to be.
Where else? I
Right,
mean, what other
right,
parts of
right,
the district are affected in this manner? And I think we're going to find, based on what we've seen, where all the schools are, where they're located, there's going to be several locations like that.
So for clarification, no one at Rogers would be displaced if we had the Sunrise Lakes kids there with extra room. No one would be displaced regardless.
Okay, so once then.
The
they get
argument is,
They
I
get
think-
the
right.
information, right? We move
Right,
them
that's the
over.
argument, right.
Then we're gonna have we will have, I promise you.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
The problem is though,
But-
there is a much bigger problem here in the zoning lines. I think we can see that from the lines that are here today. And I think that those communities should stand up and they should say, this is not okay for us. And then the board should be held accountable and say, yes, we need to redraw these lines.
But where are
I
we gonna
don't think
put them?
that's-
I mean,
where
and we can-
would you put them? Our
Where would you
schools
put
are where
them?
they are.
We can't move the schools, and short of
Right.
doing new bonds to build those new schools, I mean, I would guess a junior high is probably in the $60 million range.
Yeah, I mean, that's
I would
not-
guess a middle school's in the $40 million range. I'm just, I mean, there's a lot to consider, and I understand the frustration. I 100% do. I mean, rezoning sucks. It sucks for everybody, and when you get where you get, but I mean, when my son was in school, we had to shift schools because of rezoning lines. I mean, unfortunately, it happens. And right now, it is working. If you do take those kids out of that campus, then you're under at Junior High West. There's going to be a whole lot of space there without anybody to go there. And then you're going to put portable buildings on a campus when you have actual classrooms on the other side,
Right.
20 minutes away that has air-conditioned building. It has the four walls. It's not movable. It's not portable. It's a real building with seats in it that will be empty if you move people from that campus to another campus. So that's something to keep in mind as well.
Right. So we've never been hesitant to have portables ever before that I've seen, that I've heard in this district. That's not something that I've ever heard, and I've been in classrooms with portables, and it's not
It's not
the
that we're
end of the
hesitant.
world.
People-
but
we
second
do
of
not
all,
like it.
if we move the kids from Sunrise Lakes to a different feeder pattern, we will have that massively decreased population at West, Junior High West.
Mm-hmm.
So that goes to show that there is a zoning problem here. There's no way we can redraw the lines to zoning West to accumulate 70 people.
Well, again, the fundamental
Again,
problem is the location of the
You
schools.
just create,
You're
you're creating one, you're
there's-
solving one problem and creating
No, I
another.
think,
No,
Mike,
it's not creating a problem.
Mike,
Yes,
I'm
it
gonna give you the point that you said earlier. A data-driven conversation is that we can do this by the portables and put the kids there, right? But if we're dealing with a systematic problem, a whole issue, right? I really don't think attacking a piece of that at a time. I really don't think that's the best way to act.
I agree. So if we did the portables at one at Miller, and you said three
three at junior
high, how long would they be there before the population eventually settled out?
I think it's roughly 5 or 6 years.
5 or 6 years.
Right. And then again, the data, once.
So the data could be entirely
Yeah.
wrong. I understand that, but from what Templeton has done,
Right.
it looks like if we had portables there for 5 or 6 years,
Right.
this situation would be solved. There wouldn't be such a discrepancy between West, unless West is already decreasing naturally, which it looks like it does according to Templeton. I don't see a problem with that.
You're moving people out of one feeder pattern into another. That's why you have the sag in enrollment. That's
Well, so West
that's
is
the
not
only reason.
declining naturally?
No.
It would stay. I think that's what.
Wasn't that once we if we moved the Sunrise Lakes kids to where's that?
I wish we had
right
your
here. Go back. Back.
Well, I've got the.
Okay.
This is,
Yeah.
Well, this is the actual data for Junior High West.
Current data.
But again, the data could be entirely wrong. I mean, how can we work with this if it's?
No.
But it's the best projection that we can get. I mean, and like we said.
According to where our schools are now.
Right, according to
Best
where our
projection.
schools
We
are. and
can't
where-
pick up a school
And
and
where the survey company believes there's going to be growth. But like Charles already stated, the city could rezone when somebody buys a piece of property. It could go from commercial to residential. And then now you've got another piece of property somewhere that you would have to deal with, students somewhere. So sometimes there's just things that you can't predict. If too bad we don't have a magic ball and wand and we could look and see the exact future. It just doesn't work that way though. So,
There's a tangible solution that is not magic-based.
No, I know, I get that, but fixing one problem and creating more problems isn't the solution either.
What would,
So
what
I
would the
think what you're
problem be?
saying
Again,
is
what
you're
would the
saying-
problem be
I
that's
think,
created?
I think what you're saying
Undercapacity?
is that the entire district needs to be rezoned.
Well, no, you said there's
Not
a
doing
problem
that.
that be created. You said the same thing. There'd be a problem created. You solve one problem, creates another. Becky said.
I did that.
So the problem that is being created by moving these kids who are being ripped apart right now mentally would be
Oh,
under
wait,
capacity.
wait. I'm so- I can't let you use inflammatory language, right? Okay, ripped apart mentally is not what we're trying to do, right?
No.
We
No, I'm
did
not-
hear about some kids who had gone into depression, right?
Charles, I
But
went to
let-
school with them.
But let's just talk about what actually happened, right? So and that was my question that I didn't get an answer to. Okay, so they in depression. Continue.
Okay, excuse me, what?
Continue. You think the kids are going into depression. We're having there's an effect, right? Okay, so
There's a definite negative effect. If
and
kids are
I
in
said
depression,
that.
that's
I said
enough for
that.
me. They
I
don't need to take it a
said
step
that.
further.
I said that. Go ahead.
Right, okay, fine. We have kids in mental distress from the current zoning lines today.
Have we looked at moving the Pearland High School boundary over? Maybe those kids go then they just stay on the same exact feeder pattern. If they go from
We have that room?
Lawn to Sab to West to, how many seats do
Pearland
we
High
have
School.
available for the kids that go from West now to Dawson? What kind of numbers are you talking about? Could you move that whole pattern to Pearland High School?
Well, Pearland High School, okay.
No, I mean, we're tracking right now with additional capacity we built at Dawson High School.
It's
We're-
for
I mean,
that,
yeah,
okay,
we're
gotcha.
tracking, that
Okay.
both are gonna be at 90%.
Okay.
Both, wow.
Yeah.
So the split from junior high west to Pearland, what is that split? If you know, I'm sorry. I
Oh,
should.
student-wise?
Let's see.
40-60 from. Okay, and how much of that is the GT Academy? Is that negligible?
I wouldn't be done.
Right, but the kids
Part of
who
West.
go to the GT Academy will be zoned back. Right, after going to the GT Academy. All right.
But the GT Academy that's already on the west side going to the GT, they'd be at that school anyway.
Right.
So their numbers aren't affected. It's only your east siders, like, that are coming from Rustic Oak, CJ Harris, and Shady Crest, that are adding to the capacity at West and Salvatore for the GT
Academy.
Academy.
Right.
So the kids on the whole west side of town, or you may get some from Barry Miller, Rogers and stuff, but a lot of, at least from numbers I've seen in the past, a bulk of the Rogers students just stay at Rogers. There's not a high number of
No,
Rogers students
there isn't.
that go to junior high west. So the Rogers kids are already at Rogers. They're not going to junior high west.
It's closed campus anyway.
Pretty much.
Rogers to Sab and
But if they choose
Miller
to go
to
to-
West.
They're not electing to go to.
Yeah, they're
the
not
academy.
electing to go to the GT Academy.
So for clarification, is this board saying that we do absolutely nothing for the Sunrise Lakes community?
I'm saying I don't think it's a good idea to rezone just the one neighborhood at this time.
I'm just looking
No.
at, we're just getting the report. I'm trying to
But, yeah,
have it.
Well, I think you would look at the report and make a judgment about the future of this community, because we've got to do it. If we're going to do it, we've got to do it before the next year, which means we've got to move pretty quickly.
Well, I think what we've done here is identified a much larger issue.
Right.
Right? And I think we're going to continue to talk about this for days and months to come until we can all agree that we need to come up with a definitive solution for the entire district. I mean, we're handcuffed with all of our elementaries and junior highs and middle schools on the east side of town.
Can't
But
move
again,
them.
we're not handcuffed. It's 440,000, 3 portables, under capacity at West, God forbid under capacity.
But that's one area. We just identified a whole nother one that I didn't even know about until today, until I got my board packet Friday.
Well, you can see just by this one slide, just, all the different areas that are having to travel distances to get to their school. It's just not Sunrise Lakes. It's this area, these areas.
But Sunrise Lakes is arguably the most extreme example, as you said earlier.
Well, there are others that are highlighted here that are.
Which one? Which one is more extreme?
They're coming from here to here. They're coming from here to here. They are also coming from here to here. So you've got other areas that are in the same situation.
Yeah, if you go back to the bus route one, it showed how many bus routes and the length of time that the kids are on the bus from.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's a problem. But again, I don't think that it's logical to say let's not solve any problem until we can solve all of them at one time.
I get that on your opinion, but that's what said the east side too, that's what said they have the same amount of bus and even longer situation to get to their schools too, so.
So I guess the consensus of the board is no action taken next meeting on this issue?
Well, I'm saying no action tonight.
No action taken tonight.
No action tonight could be taken, but
Yeah, I mean, it's a report,
intent
it's
of the
not
re-
even on there to be voted on tonight,
The
it's a
intent
report.
of a report is to raise awareness.
Right.
And that's what I think they've done. They've raised awareness in the fact that we need to understand exactly what's going on. And I don't know that I'd be prepared to vote on anything tonight.
No,
we're not
I'm
voting on
definitely
we
not,
can't vote on anything tonight, but.
Right.
but even if it was there, I wouldn't be ready.
Now, what they were asking, they were asking us to
Not tonight. Tonight was just a report.
We're just getting the information right now.
give them feedback and give us feedback on the issue at hand, correct? And isn't that what the several people, is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, we've gotten the
Look
report and
into
they've
the issue.
given it to us.
Correct?
Administration has looked into it. And
We've
this is
looked
the-
into it
This
for
is what they're
months. I
giving
mean,
us.
Well, I mean, so we also have the dual language issue, right? We lose that.
We're not even, yeah, so there's another
We're not
whole
even talking
contingency of
about
parents
that.
that are,
I mean, that's
Actually, a question I wanted to
new
ask, because we
information.
did hire a bilingual coordinator for the district
yep.
Yes.
a couple months ago. And so that would not, and what is that, I mean, is she doing it, are they doing anything in regards to expanding the program to other schools?
It
No,
costs
the-
to expand it.
The program is very expensive as it is at 4 of our 11 elementaries. And then there are other issues too. There are some schools that have such a low percentage of Spanish-speaking kids that we would actually have to bus kids over to additional schools in order to be able to have a dual language program.
Correct.
Is she here?
We got the report.
Yep.
Gotta move on.
And at
we have-
Challenger, just for the record, Challenger does not have the dual language program?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
So
They
there
do
is
not have
no-
a high language, high
Well, the
Hispanic
4
speaking.
highest have it. Lahan, Magnolia, Cockrell, and
Charleston.
Carlson, yeah.
Carlson.
Okay, we have to move on to public recognition.
Public recognition?
Wait, let's not cut off Mrs. Duncan from her question. So will lawn be open to
Will lawn
she
be
asked, will
open?
lawn be open to transfer next year?
Is it open?
we can't do this.
Stay in a number that they are already accounted for at Lawhon and at Salvatore and at PJH West.
Is Lahan an open campus?
No, but we'd have to take into consideration transportation.
Transportation,
It's
all
not,
that
I
kind of
mean,
stuff.
it's
It's
the
not
And the
whole
reduction
another
of 70
discussion.
students.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So that, and they would have to,
But they're,
Is it at capacity?
they're
Lawhon?
already busing them there. If you
not
rezone
at
it, they would
capacity.
not be bused
Busing them,
there.
correct.
And the kids that
So
wanted
bus
to
routes
stay there,
change.
the
So
bus
a lot
routes
of-
Lawhon will be open next year,
Yes.
as will,
Yes, we're moving on to board recognition.
as well.
Thank you.
Good evening. Pearland ISD is home to some of the most talented individuals in Texas, and now comes the time that we love to recognize staff and students for their achievements. But before we begin recognizing students, Dr. Kelly has a couple of presentations for staff.
Good evening, folks. The Pearland ISD Communications Department, headed by this lady, Kim Hokot, recently celebrated 13 awards at the Texas School Public Relations Association Conference. Among the honors was the prestigious Crystal Commendation Award in the bond election category for building on a firm foundation. If any of you saw the bond election material, it was extremely well done by their department. The department also won Gold Star Awards for the 2016-17 District Profile Brochure, the 2017 I Will Ask anti-suicide package, and the 2016 Bond social media campaign. So congratulations to our communication team members, which are Kim Hokut here, Lexi Marshall, and Jerry Martinez. Okay. One note I should make is that one thing the communications team can't do is override my inability to speak extemporaneously. So they wrote out my script, which I just read from, for their own awards. All right, our next honorees are from the Pearland ISD Purchasing Department. They recently gained statewide acclaim for commitment to professional standards in acquiring goods and services by receiving the TASBO Award of Merit for Purchasing Operations. Only 18 districts out of over 1,000 were named recognized in 2018. The Texas Association of School Board Business Officials reviews procedures, practices, policies, contract operations, staff training, certification, communication, other things. So our purchasing office staff includes our new director, Enrique Clades, coordinator Monique Mason, and Mary Pollard. And also I should mention, she wasn't here, but our previous purchasing director, we also are, and Amy Spain was not able to be here. All right. For my part of this, the number one thing in Pearland ISD that we're supposed to be all about is student achievement. And Pearland ISD was recently honored by the College Board, puts out the SAT and the ACT and lots of other things, advanced placement classes. Yes, we are now named as an AP Honor Roll District. This distinction was awarded for the outstanding achievements of all of our students. We have a huge percentage of our students in AP classes, and that is also by subpopulation and also includes economically disadvantaged students. Representing that tremendous achievement, and if you've seen slides, if you ever come to the State of the District presentation, you'll see AP participation rates and success just escalating at an enormous level, both at the pre-AP level and AP level every year. So we'd like to honor and thank our boss in this area, Margot Giggy, our Advanced Academics Director, along with Christina Pear and Corey Cogswell. Outstanding achievement. Huh? Okay. Oh yeah, I didn't read all my scripts. Sorry about that. Here to present the plaque is Jill Schott, Senior Director of State and District Partnerships for the College Board. Jill, please come forward for the presentation.
Good looks like the board already has the plaque, but I still have another certificate. So I just really wanted to congratulate you on being named an AP Honor Roll District. On behalf of the College Board, I would like to recognize you for increasing not only AP access, but improving AP performance simultaneously. That's a really difficult achievement that only a few districts have accomplished. And it's the result of the sustained effort on the part of your teachers, but also on the commitment and the clear vision that district and school leaders have shown. So, of course, the effort of the students as well, certainly. And just thank you for your dedication to expanding access to AP courses for students of all backgrounds. So, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kelly, for those presentations and board. Now we'd like to recognize the other stars of the evening, who most of you are here for. First, we'd like to recognize a student who excelled in fine arts this year. This year, over 320,000 works of art and writing were submitted to the 2018 Art and Writing Awards for Scholastic. We had a student who earned the honor of the National Gold Key Award in Art from Barry Miller Junior High, Miss Grayson Nguyen. And parents, this is your moment, so please come forward and get pictures when your kids come across. Now we'd like to recognize Pearland ISD students who were designated as finalists in the National Merit Scholarship Program. These students number among approximately 15,000 students who are competing for 7,500 National Merit, corporate-sponsored, and college-sponsored scholarships. From Dawson High School, Kevin Chen, Ashish Dave, Shrey Dara Sari, Elizabeth Hong, Che Lavu, Christian Lewandowski, Julie Liu, Adith Ram, come on up, parents. Some of y'all might have to squat down a little. Some tall ones. And Jenny Yu. Yeah, Jenny. Congratulations. Congratulations. Every year, the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo hosts judging competitions that provide junior high and high school students an opportunity to establish a solid foundation for cultivating and practicing decision-making skills. The following students were part of the floriculture judging team that won first overall at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. From Pearland High School, Katie Madden, Emily Tyra, Caitlin Raffield, and their FFA teacher is Miss Kelly Kraus. These next Pearland ISD students swam their way to success when they excelled at the regional swim meet this season. Placing third in the regional 200 medley relay and representing the girls swim and dive team from Dawson High School, the first one on the team also placed third in the 100-meter breaststroke, Daria Hatter. Oh, I'm gonna mess up your last name. Jill and Penicillin. Okay, close. Sarah Schwarlick Trape. And also on the team, placing second in the 100-meter butterfly, first in the 100-meter backstroke, and twice at state. And we saw earlier as a National Merit Scholarship finalist, Jenny Yu. Congratulations, ladies. Also from Dawson High School, placing third in the 50-meter freestyle, Cade Anderson. And second in both the 50 and 500-meter freestyle, placing second, Christian Anderson. Whoop. I'm sorry? Oh, sorry. What is it? Yes. Oh, Vice Benet. Sorry, Christian. Has it wrong on there. Has it wrong. And the Dawson High School swim team is coached by Natasha Preibel. Next, representing Pearland High School, team who placed first in the Regional 200 Medley Relay. We have, of that team, who also placed first in both the 200 and 500 meter freestyle, Hannah Bellina. And also, I believe on that team, Turner High School student Leslie Sison, who also placed third in the 100 meter backstroke. Also from Pearland High School, placing third in the 1 meter diving, Jillian Pratt. And the Pearland High School swim team is coached by Chris Roberts, who is also being recognized this evening for being named the Regional Coach of the Year. Our next students participated and had individual medals at the state academic decathlon competition. From the varsity division from Turner College and Career High School, who had a gold medal in interview and a bronze medal in both essay and speech, Simone Charles. Congratulations. Placing in the Scholastic Division from Pearland High School, gold medal in speech and interview, as well as bronze medal in music, Kobe Buren. From Turner College and Career High School, a silver medal in speech, Laura Coate. A gold medal in speech and a silver medal in essay, Jared Streeter. Placing in the honors division from Pearland High School, gold medal in speech, as well as a silver medal in both math and economics, and also a national merit finalist, Rachel Moore. A gold medal in math, Angela Tran. A gold medal in economics and bronze medal in math, Jessa Chabon. From Turner College and Career High School, a gold medal in interview on Nguyen. And our Pearland High School students are coached by Robert Lane, Lisa Tino, and Sarah Beth Gaddis, and Turner is coached by Kyla Mora, who could be here with us. All right, come on over, guys. Just look straight ahead. Congratulations again to all of our students and staff, and that concludes this evening's recognition.
All already called it?
No, no.
District race.
All right. Yep, I gotta say it. Yep. Okay, the Board of Trustees, the Pearland Independent School District will adjourn into closed session at 6:43 PM. No voting will take place in the closed meeting. The board will reconvene in open session at 7:53. No action was taken in closed session. Is there any motions?
Yes, Madam President, I move we accept and approve the superintendent's recommendation for the contract renewal of administrative professional personnel.
We have a motion made by Ms. Beegler,
Second.
a second by Mr. Gooden. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Okay, the motion carries 7-4 and 0 against.
Okay, I've got another one.
Okay,
I move we accept and approve the superintendent's recommendation for the contract renewal of campus administrative professional and instructional personnel. Sorry.
motion made by Ms. Beegler,
Second.
second by Mr. Gooden. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor? Okay, the motion carries 7-4 and 0 against.
I've got one last one.
All right,
I move we accept and approve the superintendent's recommendation for employment of personnel as presented.
motion made by Ms. Beegler.
Second.
Second by Mr. Berry. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I shall call for the vote. To all those in favor? Motion carries 7-4 and 0 against. Okay. Moving on to opening remarks.
For the pledges, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Good evening, everybody. You can be seated. I just wanted to welcome you all here tonight. We've had a very good and productive meeting so far. We have had great discussions. I enjoy working with all my colleagues, and I know that we do what's best for our community. I know that we have some work to do, and that work will be hard, but that has never discouraged anyone, anywhere, at least in this country, before. Sometimes the best solutions are not the easiest solutions. We've got to work hard. It may be difficult, and things may have to change. But change is inevitable, and eventually, change will be necessary. So my message to you tonight is to get ready and be comfortable with change, because we're moving this district forward, and some people will not like it. I want to also thank everyone who is working together, advocating for their neighborhoods, or working with us on our bond projects, or who are running for office and are here tonight, or who are working in this district, or who have family members here who really care about our students. I just want to thank you for taking your part and doing your service to our students and to our future. So with that, if you would like to do a moment of silence, please do. But other than that, I think we're ready to go.
Outstanding, Mike. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So with the consent agenda, I am going to pull number 9 as Communities and Schools is my employer. So I just want to, I will recuse myself from that.
And also, President Decker,
Oh, that's right.
we're withdrawing number 12 on workers' comp. We are going to go out to bid for that rather than extend the contract, and so we will bring that back to you no later than June.
Okay. All right.
So I move, Madam President, that we accept the consent agenda items 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, and 11 as presented.
Second.
I have a motion made by Ms. Beegler and a second by Mr. Gooden. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Motion, Mike? Motion carries 7-4 and 0 against.
All right, Madam President, moving on to the
Oh, we have to
regular
do number
agenda.
Gotta do number 9.
Oh,
So,
sorry.
I just
ready?
can't do it.
Any discussion first, though? Any discussion first?
Any, yeah, any discussion?
Okay, so I move we accept consent agenda number 9 as presented.
Second.
Okay, so I have a motion made by Ms. Beegler and a second by Mr. Berry. Yes. We actually, this that you're approving here tonight is the after-school.
After school for Lawhon only.
Lawhon only.
Now, we will be coming back to you probably, I think it's June, with all of the schools that are covered under CIS and after school. And there's a total of 10, I believe. And so we'll bring that to you back in June for a final agreement.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, so I had the motion made by Ms. Beegler and a second by Mr. Berry. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Okay, the motion carries 6-4 and 1 recusal. Decker recused herself. Okay. Regular agenda.
Ma'am, we have 2 GMPs and a furniture item under the regular agenda. The first one is for the GMP for Junior High East. And so, John, if you'll come and explain.
So this is the GMP for Junior High East with Duratec, and if you remember, Duratec is working on the package C and D for us with the bond. So that's Turner High School and the middle schools and junior highs. So this is the final GMP in this package for Duratec, and it is 16.2 million, and that's about 280,000 under budget. Any questions?
John, would you address the adjustments on sheet 67
Yes.
or page 67?
Yeah, you had to build 4 science classrooms, C adjustment 1. Build 3 tennis courts, C adjustment 2.
So let's see. So on the adjustments, number 1, the scope adjustment on the classrooms. So the bond scope said do 4 science classrooms, and when we met with the school, what they had said was what we really need is 2 science classrooms and 2 regular classrooms, still a total of 4. We had an alternate in the package because of the physical configuration, it made a lot of sense to look at just extending the addition by 2 extra classrooms because there was a need at the campus. So we ended up we were able to get that for a very good price within the budget, so we included that in the package. So we were able to get 2 science classrooms and 4 classrooms.
And I see, of course, the tennis courts are with the West Project.
Right, that's already been done, and that's already included in that.
Right.
So the fully enclosed condition, the semi-enclosed south entrance area, if you're familiar with Junior High East, at the south side of the campus, there's that kind of no man's land, I guess. It looks like it was originally built as it's unenclosed and unconditioned. So over the years, I think they've modified it with fencing, like chain link fencing around it. It's where a lot of the kids wait for the bus, and it's one of the drop-off entrances to the school. So we were asked, we are building into part of that to extend a couple of the classrooms, and so we're actually making it smaller to fulfill the bond scope. So we did that as an alternate too. We got a very good price for just actually conditioning that area to make it a part of the enclosed part of the school.
Is there any, I guess, finishes being put in there? Is it cement floor, right? And it's kind of bare walls.
Okay, it looks
Is
like
it-
a cage.
It is.
It's called the cage.
It's called the cage?
The cage, right, exactly.
We called it.
It's not going to be the cage anymore. So I think
Thanks.
what's the flooring, Laura? Is that VCT? Okay, so vinyl tile, like
typically.
Lighting?
Okay, yeah, because it's pretty dark.
Conditioned space, right. It's kind of just a gloomy space, so
Yeah.
we're gonna make it a part of the school, so.
So it'll be a classroom, or what's it?
No,
what's
it'll
the
still serve that same function as kind of an entry and drop-off and
Okay.
student waiting area, but it'll actually be an enclosed conditioned
Indoors.
space.
Gotcha.
Right.
Yeah.
No.
Hey, John, what about the, what about the chillers and pumps? You see that the maintenance procured those directly?
Yes.
Were those procured with bond funds or?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
that was one of the ones that we broke out that
Yeah.
maintenance procured directly. And
Was that
that's-
included
works.
in the overall pricing on this?
Yes. The construction budget that it was not included in this GMP, but the construction budget that you see on that main budget sheet includes
It did.
the things purchased by maintenance.
John, I have a question on package D under this. Are we just listing security vestibules and cameras? Are they coming out of this? Are they coming out of this package D GMP, or are they coming out of the? I think it's package F.
For
security?
junior high east, and so the seven schools that we that have major projects going on, and this is one of them. We're doing the security vestibule and the cameras and the card readers. We're
With the work.
absorbing it into the project, so we've moved that scope, which you'll see when we get to the security. It's quite a bit
Okay.
under budget because we've moved a lot of that scope to these projects.
So Duratech will do this project under package D for the at East.
Yes.
Okay.
They'll do the vestibules
Thank you.
this summer. Or actually, for this project, it'll be incorporated into the new admin area, which will be next summer.
Well, next summer? The vestibules are gonna be next summer?
Yeah, so just jumping ahead, I guess, to the vestibule question as part of the security package. So we're doing all the security vestibules this summer except for 4 of them. And they're the 4 that are incorporated into new admin areas that are part of projects that are going to be completed next summer. So it's junior high, because these are junior high east, junior high west, and Pearland High School. They're not going to have their admin area till, it won't necessarily be next summer. I think they're, over the course of the next year, as we open those areas up, they'll include the security vestibule. So it's those 3, and then Shady Crest is part of package E, which have not started yet, and part of the design at the bond scope at Shady Crest is to add a new entrance. So there's really no way to incorporate a security vestibule into how that current area is configured. So
Until
that's
that's
the 4th
done.
one. Right.
Until
that'll be
those are done, you
incorporated
can't
into
do
Shady
it.
Crest next summer.
So 19 campuses
Summer
will have their
of,
security vestibules
Yes,
built
plus the
by the end of
ESC.
the summer.
yes.
Wow, awesome. Okay. Any other questions, board? Is there a motion?
Move that the board approve the guaranteed maximum price amendment to the contract with, I'm sorry, am I reading the right one?
Duratech.
Yes.
I'll second that.
All right, wait.
Let him get
Yeah.
it out.
I'm sorry, this says, yeah, they both say Tellefson. Okay. Or am I not moving
No,
along
you're on
here?
page 64.
64.
Or it's a-
Durotech, there we
Yeah.
go, okay. I move that the board approve the guaranteed maximum price amendment to the contract with Durotech for a sum not to exceed $16,230,225 for services related to the Pearland Junior High East 2016 bond project, and authorize the superintendent or his designee to execute the amendment and any other necessary documents on behalf of the school district.
So I have a motion made by Mr. Gooden, a second by
Second.
Mr. Berry.
Still.
All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? The motion carries 7-4 and 0 against. Okay. Number 2.
Moving right along, John, go ahead.
Okay, the next one is going to be the GMP for the security package. That is package F, and that's with Tellefson. So the scope of this project is basically 4 things. So it's the security vestibules at 16 of the schools plus the ESC. It's also additional and some replacement of security cameras. It's also adding card readers at certain the most used doors. And it's adding fencing at elementaries and middle schools. And so let's, so back up here,
So it's 5.2 million, and this one is quite a bit under budget, which, for a few different reasons. So it's about 3 million under budget. Part of that was we moved a lot of the scope to the other projects of those 7 schools. We moved some of the budget, but I think the cost of those actually was more than the actual budget. So that helped out, enabled us to bring this one more under budget than we had thought. And the other projects were able to absorb it, so that worked out well. We also pulled all the cameras and their installation out of this project. So actually next month, we're going to do a giant purchase of all the cameras needed for the bond. We're going to get all those at once. And we're going to deploy those separately, directly from the district.
So meaning the stuff that would have been for the security vestibules, plus anything you were doing on campuses otherwise incorporated into the bond, you just packaged together so you could get better pricing?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect, thank you.
To just go back to your statement you just made. So does this 5 million include the cameras we're going to buy?
No.
Okay.
No, those will be coming to you next month because we just got the pricing on those, and that's one of the things will be coming to you in the May board meeting for approval.
Okay, so those cameras though will be in addition to this price for the overall price of the security, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. They're in the overall budget. They're what we call soft costs
Right.
in that
Right,
portion.
okay.
So that brings up another question about these 4 schools. I guess we're going to have a conversation regarding, at some point, regarding security until those get done.
Obviously, the difficulty is until you have the front of the school, you can't put the vestibule in front of it.
Right, absolutely.
And so, until that, we'll be looking at what internal things we can do to make those 4 campuses theoretically as safe as the others that will get the vestibules.
Well, one is Pearland High School, correct? So it has police officer on campus. One is Junior High West, has a police officer on campus. One is Junior High East, who has a police officer on campus. And what's number 4?
Shady Crest.
Shady Crest.
Okay, so Shady Crest would be the only one that, that does not
Yes.
have current police officer on campus. Okay.
Any other questions, discussion? Is there a motion?
I move that the board approve the guaranteed maximum price amendment to the contract with Telpson Incorporated for a sum not to exceed $5,214,593 for services related to the security upgrades 2016 bond project, and authorize the superintendent or his designee to execute the amendment and any other necessary documents on behalf of the school district.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion made by Mr. Floyd, a second by Mr. Gooden. Any further discussion? Hearing none.
Mr. Posh,
Oh.
I'm sorry, I'll just make
Okay.
one more comment. And we provided a statement to the Journal about looking for additional ways to try to accelerate this construction. And I just wanted to discuss or just say, are we still looking for those opportunities to push things ahead where we can, if it makes any sense,
The security one?
for the vestibules?
Yes, so that's what
Vestibules.
we've done is we've come up, we had planned that as a 2-summer project.
Right.
So what we set out to do with our contractor, construction manager Telpson, is we actually bid it both ways as a 2-year project and a 1-year project, and it turned out best from a cost standpoint also if we can get it all in one summer.
Yeah.
So, so we've
And,
done
and
that.
John, my memory on this isn't clear, but even with the 4 that are left, I think there's 1 or 2 opportunities that may be finished as early as January 20.
Yes, now I'm trying to
19.
remember that. There's, so Pearland High School that admin area will open in February. Junior High West will open in January. Do we have that? Oh, there it is right there.
2019.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
thanks,
That's pretty fast
So
track.
Junior High West in January, Pearland High School in March, and Junior High East and Shady Crest will be August 2019, so.
Right.
That's awesome. All right, any other comments? Okay, so I had a motion made by Mr. Floyd and a second by Mr. Gooden. No further discussion, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Motion carries 7-4 and 0 against.
Good job, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
So just as a quick recap, with these two bids, and we have 82% of the construction costs in the bond already bid.
Wow.
And we're looking at about $12 million under budget, so we're in good shape budget-wise. The things we still have to bid are, in September, we'll be bringing the rig and the press box, and then next year, next spring, I believe it is, we'll have the package E, which will be the last package, that's the elementaries.
Very good.
Okay, board members, on the next item on the agenda, that normally would have gone in consent, but I got it near the last part of last week, and so it's listed as a regular part of your agenda. I normally would not put furniture
Well, that's what I was like,
as a separate,
it's interesting. Is there special furniture?
I mean, depends,
It's normal.
It's normal.
Normal furniture?
There's no federal level.
Right, there's not like a,
nothing like that.
what's all
Okay.
that, what's the
Okay.
term now?
oh, the flexible furniture,
Flexible
yeah.
furniture? Right? Okay, so there's nothing that you want to report
Nothing,
there?
John, you
No.
don't have anything to report there other than?
Okay, so is there a motion or comments, questions, board, for the furniture?
No, ma'am.
So I'll make a motion
Okay,
that the Board of Trustees approve the utilization of by board contract 503-16 furniture, school office, science library, and dormitory, and NIPA TCPN National Intergovernmental Purchasing Cooperative Contract P15-150 office furniture and filing systems for the purchase of furniture for Junior High West, Sam Jameson Middle School, and Sablatura Middle School in an amount not to exceed $317,000, $317,086.40, and authorize the superintendent or his designate to execute any necessary documents on behalf of the school district.
oof, that's a big one.
Restate your motion.
No, I could barely say it the first time.
So
Second.
I have a motion made by Ms. Biegler, a second by Mr. Gooden. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Okay, the motion carries 7-4 and 0 against. All right, we've already done the rest. So, that is it. Okay, this meeting is adjourned at 8:15 PM.
Thanks, John.